Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster's Sunday celebration service on this lovely Easter Sunday. Please join us in our opening song this morning, Lord of the Dance.
I danced in the morning when the world was begun, and I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun. And I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. At Bethlehem I had my birth. So dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance at thee. I danced for the scribe and the Pharisee. They would not dance and they would not follow me. And I danced for the fishermen, for James and John. They came to me and the dance went on. So dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance at thee. I danced on the Sabbath when I cured the lame. The holy people said it was a shame. They whipped and they stripped me and they hung me high. And they left me there on a cross to die. Dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. And I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance at thee. I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone, but I am the dance, and I still go on. Dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. And I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance at thee. They cut me down and I leapt up high. I am the life that'll never, never die. I live in you if you live in me. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. Dance, dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance at thee. And I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance at thee. Dance!
Welcome back. I am Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Unity of New Westminster's Sunday celebration service. We would love to stay connected with you, so please join our email distribution list. The form is found on our website at www.unityofnewwestminster.org, or you can like us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you will be updated when we have events. Unity offers ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom in faith traditions all over the planet. We honor every person's right to choose their own life path, their own spiritual path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We open our service today in prayer. I gratefully acknowledge that I speak to you on the traditional and unceded territory of the Semiahmoo First Nation. And we give thanks to First Nation peoples everywhere for their custody of this beautiful land. We give thanks that we are able to meet together in this virtual setting at a time when we are unable to meet in person. We give thanks for our connection one with each other. That connection that happens whether we are in each other's physical presence or not. That connection that binds us all together. We acknowledge that there is only one presence, that there is only one power, that power that is understood by many names, many faces, and many paths. And we affirm that regardless of the name, the face, or the path of our understanding, that we are one human family. And it is in that knowledge of our oneness that we send a blessing for love, for peace, for contentment to every being on this planet, to every being, regardless of all the labels that threaten to divide us. We are one. And for this knowledge, for this intention, and for the power that we have to bless, we give thanks. Amen. Our daily word today will be read by a truly special man. In his many years as a member of our community at Unity of New Westminster, he has been a leader, he has been our spiritual leader, he has been our guide. He is learned, he is wise. He is a person who walks his talk. He carries himself with grace and demonstrates extraordinary kindness and sensitivity to anybody that he meets. He has been and continues to be a blessing to us here at Unity of New Westminster. He is celebrating his 91st birthday later this month. Please welcome our dear, beloved friend, Jim Cliff.
Easter Sunday, the word for today is arise. I welcome my resurrection experience. In Mark's Gospel, the women who come to anoint Jesus' body on Easter morning flee in terror when, after finding the tomb empty, they are told Jesus has been raised. Stories from early Christian communities describe a transformation from fear to faith as Jesus' early followers come to realize that not even death can hold the Christ Spirit captive. With joyous faith, Jesus' followers greet one another, declaring, "He is risen," and affirming, "He is risen indeed." Letting go of fear, I say yes to my resurrection experience. Guided by the resurrecting power of the Christ Spirit within me, I am set free from the tomb of lack and limitation. I follow Jesus into the light of new awareness, a new dimension of life. Christ is risen in me. The Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 6. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He's not here.
How could anyone ever loving is a miracle, how deeply you're connected to my soul.
The resurrection story has become one of my favorite Bible stories. The more I think about it, the more I feel that it offers a powerful perspective of how we could choose to show up when we are challenged with a crisis or a change, whether it be in our circumstances that we may have no control of, or whether it is our own recognition that something no longer serves us and it is time for us to change. The Easter story of life and death and resurrection offers a process that we can follow as we move ourselves from life to life, so to speak. And there are lessons for us to learn from this story. Before we do so, let's just take a few moments to review the Easter story. Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday, a day in which the people of Jerusalem come out to welcome Jesus as he returns to the city. A day in which they hail Jesus as their Savior, as the person who is going to deliver them from the persecution and occupation of the Romans. In the early days of that week, Jesus continues to heal and teach. And the Jewish leadership who have decided that this man has to go question him and are even more determined that he needs to go. And on the day that we now call Maundy Thursday, the day before Passover, Jesus gives thanks and shares a final meal, the Last Supper, with his disciples. He tells Judas, the man who betrays him, to do what he needs to do quickly. He washes the feet of his disciples. He gives them a new commandment, that they love one another as he has loved them. And then after supper, he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane. And in his time of personal crisis, he prays. He asks God to take this cup from him. And then he comes to a recognition that he will go through this change, saying, "Not my will, but thine be done." Judas leads a group of priests, Pharisees, and soldiers to Jesus. And in a fit of anger, Simon Peter cuts off the ear of the high priest's servant. And before Jesus is led off to jail, Jesus heals the man's ear. The following morning, Jesus is tried by the religious leadership, the Jewish high priests. He is tried 3 times by them, 3 times by the Roman court, and is eventually convicted. It is the time of Passover, and tradition allowed the people to free one prisoner, to call for the freedom of one prisoner. And instead of choosing Jesus, they choose a common criminal called Barabbas. So Jesus ends up being crucified along with 2 other criminals. He speaks words of forgiveness. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He offers words of encouragement to a fellow prisoner. "Today you will be with me in paradise." He ensures that his mother will be taken care of. He cries in agony, "I thirst." He calms himself by reciting Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And finally, with the words, "It is finished," and "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit," Jesus dies. He is taken to a nearby tomb, and on the third day it is discovered that the stone that closed the tomb up had been rolled away, and Jesus was gone. And that is the story of Easter. And some of us have difficulty believing the literal truth of the resurrection, and that's okay. There was a time that I believed, a time I didn't believe, and now I'm more open than I've ever been to the possibility. Because what I know to be true is that we are energetic beings, and we are only now discovering the possibilities of managing our own power and recognizing that those possibilities might be infinite. Regardless, though, of whether you believe that Jesus literally rose from the dead or not, there are lessons that we can learn from how he conducted himself in these last few days of his life, as he moved from experiencing adulation and glory to betrayal and then pain and death and resurrection. These lessons that he taught us can inform us as we go through our own Gethsemane experiences, our own experiences of challenge and change. And I look at these learnings in a series of F words, which we will explore. The first F word that we see in Jesus' example is to face it. What is the first thing that we normally do when we are facing something that we know is different, that might be negative? The first thing we tend to do is we take action and we try to fix it or avoid it or negotiate our way out of it in some way. And what did Jesus do? He faced it. Instead of trying to avert disaster, he went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he prayed. He spent time strengthening and readying himself mentally and physically for the change to come. Let's be clear, Jesus did not want to go through this ordeal. He prayed that this cup be taken from him. A very real, very human reaction that all of us can relate to. And then he surrendered. Not my will, but God's will. Not my will, but the will of life. Despite his ability to escape the scary situation that he was in, Jesus was willing to release his attachment to the outcome. He recognized that even though he didn't like it or understand it, there was some greater force at work than his humanness could understand, than his humanness could control. And that's where you and I, maybe just I, could take a lesson. How many of us would be willing to do what Jesus did and accept the path that was being laid before him? I know I would want to control the situation. I would want to find a way out. I would want to bargain. I would want somehow that this thing be taken away. But what we learn from his example is that when we argue with reality, we add to our suffering. Because we spend so much time working against what we're going through that we aren't present to what we are going through. And we can't control everything that happens to us. Yes, we have tremendous power to shape and form things in our lives, but we are not the whole picture. As individuals, we are not the whole picture. We live in a field of power, a field of energy, and there are forces at work in and around us that we can't always control. So the first step that we take, that we learn from Jesus' example, pray, center ourselves, strengthen ourselves, face it. The next thing that we see in Jesus' example is what I call firming it. In the face of anger, betrayal, accusation, yelling, sneering, mocking, Jesus remained steadfast. He remained calm. He remained internally focused, and somehow, because of that, more powerful. Wouldn't it have been more realistic for Jesus to be upset at the injustice of it all, to hold a grudge against all of these people? Would it not have been more expected that he would be justifiably angry? Yes. But instead of returning hatred with hatred, he returned hatred with love. And there are two ideas to consider within this firming. The first is a guidepost about how we react when we are falsely accused. Most of us react with self-righteous anger, or we become defensive, or we try to show the other person why what they're seeing isn't really what we intended, or what they're seeing is incorrect, or somehow their perspective is wrong. Or sometimes we fight back, thinking that because they hurt us, we should hurt them. An eye for an eye. And Jesus did none of those things. So the first idea of firm it is to practice non-resistance in the face of all of this questioning, all of this mockery, all of the times that we want to respond in a way that is aggressive. Non-resistance. And the second thing that we can take from this firm it idea is to expect that when change is happening, that we are going to have some internal resistance. That there may be not helpful voices within us saying things like, "You're not worthy. Are you sure? Who do you think you are to be doing this?" When we change the status quo, when it's us who are choosing to change the status quo, we will be put on trial. And our lesson from Jesus' example is to stand firm. It takes a great deal of strength to stand firm, to stand alone in our dignity and in our integrity in the face of disappointment and anger and questioning and second guessing. When we face accusation or resistance, whether it's from others or whether it's from ourselves, from our own voices, let us aim to choose non-resistance. Let us stand firm in our integrity. The next F is faith it. Faith it. What gives us the strength to stand in the face of betrayal? To stand in the face of disappointment? The belief that all things work for the good. There is no spot that God is not. We believe that means that in every experience, no matter how contraindicated it may appear, that there is the activity of God at work. In Romans, we are told that all things work for the good. The hardest thing at times is to believe that. When we're in the middle of a Gethsemane moment. And I bring the words of Emma Curtis Hopkins to you when she said that in the midst of a crisis we can declare, this too is God. This too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. This too is God. This too is for me, and I demand to see the blessing in it. One of my favorite quotes is from the movie The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. The quote is, "Everything works out in the end. If it hasn't worked out, it isn't the end." If we believe that God is a force for good, God, by whatever your understanding of the creative force that forms us, that forms the beauty of this planet, whatever your understanding is, can you believe that it is a creative force for good? If you can, then faith is what you can tap into in the midst of what seems like a chaotic mess and confusion. You can meet everything then, every situation, with a measure of calm equanimity. Faith it. And then that most famous of F words, forgive it. On the cross, Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And it's true. If the Roman soldiers and the Jewish leadership knew that in killing Jesus they would play a vital role in ensuring that his message would spread across the world, I wonder if they would have done things differently. Instead of martyring Jesus, maybe they would have just imprisoned him or ignored him. And who knows? Without the crucifixion, there would be no resurrection, and the teachings of Jesus might very well have faded into the background. And instead, Pilate, the Roman soldiers, the religious leadership, Judas, all of these characters and their combined actions and inactions resulted in Jesus' death and may have seemed to be unforgivable, but they play a major and essential, necessary part in the unfolding of the Easter story. This is a reminder for us that sometimes there are unintended consequences from the actions of people who intend us harm. unintended positive consequences. As Joseph said when he was reunited with his brothers who had sold him to slavery in Egypt. Joseph says, what man intended for harm, God intended for good. It is a human response to hold on to the wrong, to get caught up in the hurt and the betrayal and the mean intention, and it is very difficult at times for us to be willing to forgive. But can we see and remember the truth that everything conspires for our good? And the people who are hurting us may not even know the power of what they are doing, and that they are catapulting us to a new possibility of greatness. By accepting that those who harm us are playing and have played a necessary role in our personal resurrection story, perhaps we can reframe the experience into something less polarized and less negative. Forgive them. And then another F word. Part of closure. And that is feel the feelings. Jesus says, take this cup from me. He says, I thirst. He recites Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? These are all expressions of pain and attempts to find ways to comfort and provide relief for him. And in those words are yet another hint about how we can transition from one reality to another in a graceful way. We must feel our feelings. We must acknowledge the hurt. Yeah, it is one thing to know that this will turn out well in the end. We know that intellectually. We may even know that at some level, but that does not mean that at this moment it doesn't hurt now. The grief that arises with an ending is very real. And when we can acknowledge that the ending is necessary, even that it is inevitable, even as we can acknowledge those things, we do ourselves a disservice if we do not honor the sadness that we might be feeling or the grief. And the way to lean into that is with some deep reflection, so that we can experience the sadness of the death of that which has now moved or is preparing to die, and hopefully move to a place of gratitude for the learnings that we may have experienced. Feel the feelings. Admit them. I thirst. And then another part of closure, another F word, is finish your unfinished business. Before he died from the cross, Jesus made sure that his mother would be taken care of. What I take from this is that before I can move on to a new reality, I need to finalize my old as best I can. Those of us who have lost loved ones unexpectedly know the guilt and the sadness of the undone, of the unsaids, of the if onlys and I wish I hads. the regret. It can be powerfully healing to make sure that before we move to our next reality, whatever it might be, that we make peace with our old situation. If we have unsaid amends to make, let us make them. If we have words to write that will bring us peace, let us write them. Let us live with no regrets so that when we move to our next experience, we can truly say, it is finished. And embrace the new experience more fully. And then we die to the old reality and come to yet another F word, and that is form it. As we die to the old way, the old belief, the old relationship, the old status quo, whatever it might be, we move into this time of the tomb, this time of the void, this time which can be a place of darkness and a place of healing, a place for grieving and for renewing. A place in which, now that the old has died, a new reality has the opportunity to form itself, where we can assimilate the old and move forward to a new greatness. And the best way that I can think of to describe it is using the butterfly and the caterpillar. Caterpillars, before they're even hatched, contain something that they will never use in their life cycle as a caterpillar. Those things are called imaginal discs. And caterpillars contain imaginal discs that they will never use in that time. And when the time for transformation comes and caterpillars create a cocoon for themselves, then, when the caterpillar essentially dies, the imaginal disc, which has always been there waiting in potential, the imaginal disc is activated and they start to multiply. And these discs then transform into wings and antennae, and the body of this new being, which eventually transforms and emerges out of the cocoon into a beautiful butterfly. And so it can be with us too. It is in the cocoon, in the tomb, in the void, that the old is put away, and that the new beauty which was always inside of us, and that we had no understanding about, that new beauty can emerge triumphant, more beautiful, more exciting, more lovely, more abundant than it could ever have imagined. And so we come to our final F word. The F word for Easter Sunday, freedom. A fresh new beginning after the stone which has kept us in the darkness of the tomb is rolled away. We emerge, reborn into the light of a new life, a new understanding, a new belief, attitude, a new way of thinking, a new way of being is free to emerge, and we are transformed. We rise again. When we are faced with a Gethsemane moment, and we go through these F's, these steps following the example of Jesus as he moved from Gethsemane through death, through the tomb, and to new life, so we can learn the same. We can follow those same examples because they are a blueprint for our transformation. Face the change. Stand firm in the face of doubt, in the face of naysayers. Have faith that everything will work for the good. Forgive the people or the situations that you perceive as harming you. Feel your sadness. Finish your unfinished business. Form your new belief. Form your new attitude, your new thought, your new emotion. And then emerge to a new experience of life. Free. Easter is a time of rolling back the stone of our old beliefs and our old ways of being. We will emerge anew. That is resurrection. And we are all beautiful butterflies. Happy resurrection to you. Happy Easter. On Thursdays, we meet at 11 o'clock for a time of prayer and meditation. We meet on Zoom. We check in with each other, and then we move into a time of guided meditation, during which we read the names of the people who are on our prayer list. It is a time of recentering and renewal, and I invite you to join us No experience is necessary. You don't have to speak if you would prefer not to. And it is a time which is so uplifting and centering and meaningful. So please join us on Zoom on Thursdays for prayer. If you would like your name or the name of someone you care about to be added to the prayer list, then please email us at unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com, and we will be sure to have the name added to the list. And if you would like one-on-one prayer, please send us an email or call the office, and our prayer chaplain will offer private prayer support. A reminder that we have a food pantry that is available to anyone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is located in a cabinet just outside of the church. So please spread the word so that people who may benefit from the use of that pantry could do so. And if you have spare food but you would like to share canned goods, please add them to the food pantry. It's basically, if you need it, take it, and if you have extra, please give it. We're so grateful for the financial contributions that we receive from the community who are watching our services. Your contribution supports not just our ministry, but also the message of unity in Canada and charitable organizations in our own community that do amazing work. There are many ways to give, and I invite you to donate what you are able and what you can give from a place of abundance and joy. I ask you now to bring to your heart, to your mind, something that you are grateful for, something that on this Easter day you feel blessed for, as we sing our blessing song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So we come to the end of our Easter Sunday service for today. If you are watching live on Zoom or Facebook or on YouTube, please consider joining us for a time of fellowship right after the service on Zoom. I hope you enjoyed your experience with us today. I hope you come back and connect with us again. Happy Easter, and have a wonderful week, everybody.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace. Let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We are the light of God.